FightfulWrestling.com's The List and Your Boy podcast, airing Wednesday evenings at 6 p.m. Eastern. Yeah.
I can't believe this thing has gotten so much play. You know?
I can't. It was one of those things, like, when we dropped the M&M WWE news, I didn't expect that to be such a big deal. Sunday, I got information that, actually, I think it was Saturday I got information, but then Sunday I was able to confirm it with some other people that this John Oliver thing was going to happen, and I was very surprised at the attention that it got. And then subsequently, I wasn't surprised after that. But before it happened, I was more surprised, but it kind of prepared me for the reaction that it would get. But honestly, there wasn't anything in that people that watched this show probably wouldn't know.
That's why I was surprised it got the attention it got. There was nothing new mentioned at all. Everything that was discussed. So I want to talk about the things I agreed with and the things I didn't agree with this piece, because it's gotten so much attention that WWE stock initially actually went down the day that the show started getting attention. It swung by the end of the day and it went back up. But as you just said, nothing was new. This is stuff that has been discussed forever. A lot of the facts in this thing were 15 years out of date or older, which is one of the things I have a problem with. I want to talk about first what I agreed with him with. And again, nothing is new. I agree with him that it doesn't make sense for WWE wrestlers to have independent contractor status when they are under exclusive contract. And as he made a point of saying, in WWE's own press credentials and website and everything, they say flat out that they are under exclusive contract. They say flat out that without them, there is no WWE. And in terms of the law, that does not make you an independent contractor. That makes you a full-time employee. Yeah. There's no doubt or there's no disputing that they're doing it because they don't want to pay health benefits. They don't want to pay into a pension plan. They don't want to pay long-term disability. And that's long been the reason that they're doing this. Because just if you think about Vince McMahon's, put yourself in his shoes. How many guys come and go, Sean? Right? Guys come into developmental. Maybe they don't work out. They come in. Maybe they get injured. They don't work out. If you're a full-time employee, you've got to pay into pension plans, long-term disability, and they have such a rotating door. I mean, that would really add up. Not that they don't have the money, but I can understand, why they don't want them to be full-time employees. I also want to point out, nobody's forcing the wrestlers to work for WWE, right? No one's putting a gun to their head. Most of them want to do it. For most of them, WWE is the goal. And the other thing that we should mention is that WWE, it's not like they've never been investigated, because they have. And it's been 40, 50 years. And when the whole thing went down with the steroid case, WWE was heavily investigated and nothing has really come out of it. And so, whether right or wrong, it is what it is. Nothing has changed. One area where I really disagreed with John Oliver's piece was when he really focused on the mortality rate, the wrestler mortality rate.
Brought up King Kong Bundy. Bundy hadn't been there in 25 years.
Right.
I was looking at that and... all due respect to King Kong Bundy, but the condition in which his body was,
right.
I'm looking at that and I'm thinking 63 ain't bad for a guy who was 450 pounds.
Yeah, 61, I think. I think he was 61.
I don't know. I think he was born in 55. But
oh, was he? Okay, I thought he was 61.
I mean, I'm like, what the hell? And bringing up Lance Cade, and I was like, okay, that one's a little bit questionable. I mean, there are some of those. There was he showed Bret Hart talking negatively about WWE right after he left the company, and Oliver said he has reason to feel that way. His brother died while in WWE. Those comments were from before then.
Like 2 years.
Yeah, well, a year and a half. Yeah, it was
97, 99, right?
Well, end of 97, beginning of 99. Mid-99,
yeah. Like WWE, the landscape is so different now than it was. I mean, number one, the lifestyles are different. WWE covers medical bills now whenever injuries or surgeries occur. They have much more attentive medical staff. They have much better concussion protocol now, to the point that some of the wrestlers get frustrated, like a Daniel Bryan or an Alexa Bliss, because they're not allowed to compete when they want to. Like they're much better. Not only that, guys are not out partying and getting addicted to painkillers and recreational drugs at the level that they were before. You hear stories now about, like JBL has told stories about, you go backstage now, guys are playing video games or they're on their laptops. You know what I mean? Like they're just much more aware than they were back then, and it's just much different. And so one of the issues I had with John Oliver's piece is that he kind of spun it for the uninformed person, and a lot of his viewers are not wrestling no. Right? So he spun it for the uninformed viewer, like that's the current landscape. Like no, and it hasn't been for 20 years. And so I had a major problem with that. It was a very self-serving thing that he did. You brought up the Bret Hart point already because I was going to mention that one too. The other thing that I found laughable about the piece, and again, it came off like John Oliver is just not informed about things. He said, hey, if you want things to change, WrestleMania's coming up. They listen to the fans. I encourage you to go to WrestleMania, make signs, chant, and maybe you can get things to change when it comes to the independent contractor status. If he knew anything about the WWE landscape, he would know that that's not going to do shit.
Not going to do anything.
Not going to do anything. They will confiscate the signs, all right? If they don't like your chants, they might kick you out. If you want to get anything done in WWE in 2019, you go after the sponsors. That's what you do. And last year, what did they do, Sean? The Women's Battle Royal at WrestleMania, it was named after the Fabulous Moolah, and this massive thing went viral about the reputation of the Fabulous Moolah. And what did people do, Sean? They went to Snickers.
WrestleNomics is a great graphic. It's like a pyramid of the hierarchy of what WWE listens to. The top, it's Vince McMahon. Then it's sponsors. Then below that, it's major corporate sponsors. Then below that, it's like networks, and at the very bottom, it's fans and social media.
Yes. I mean, let me tell you something. It is one thing to listen to the fans and get Kofi Kingston into the WWE title match. It's one thing to listen to the fans and get Becky Lynch into the women's title match. Are they going to listen to the fans and change wrestler's status from independent contractor to full-time employee? Are you out of your fucking mind? There's no chance it's going to happen. You go to the sponsors if you want that done. And quite frankly, in a situation like this, I don't think the sponsors are going to care either, Sean.
No, I don't think so either.
You know?
And there were so many things as I was talking to people in the know, like you didn't have to sensationalize it and bring up outdated information. These guys give up their marketing and licensing rights. They're taught how to wrestle and told how to wrestle, how to display themselves creatively. They're not supposed to get tattoos or their hair cut without permission. Like there are just so many little things. Like they didn't explain why it was advantageous for WWE to have them as independent contractors as opposed to employees. There were so many other aspects, and I'm sure that there were a lot of time restrictions on this as well.
Oh, sure, of course there is. But it was done in such a way that he had a narrative that he wanted to follow that narrative. I think you said that we're allowed to respond to super chats, right?
Yeah,
that's what we do.
Of course.
A guy named Hothead567 said, who said that the Jim Ross deal is over 7 figures? For all we know, AEW is just trying to get extra hype. I don't think anybody did. Did anybody say it was over? No, nobody said that. All they said was, press release says, most lucrative deal in commentary history, but nobody has said financial terms. Okay, so WWE has responded to this John Oliver thing. I want to read one quote that came from their little press release, and then I want to...
They wanted to make sure we got that out. Like, we had already run a separate story.
Yep.
So I don't think I'd even reached out to WWE about that yet. I was going to, but by the time that I saw it, somebody else already had, and the statement was out there. We ran a story based on that. Then WWE went to the trouble of messaging me and saying, hey, Sean, will you update your article with our statement? And I was like, well, we already have a new article on it, but I'll update the old one that you're referring to for clarity, sure.
Well, here's one quote from the press release. They said, prior to airing, WWE responded to his producers, refuting every point in his one-sided presentation. John Oliver simply ignored the facts. The health and wellness of our performers is the single most important aspect of our business, and we have a comprehensive, long-standing talent wellness program. We invite John Oliver to attend WrestleMania this Sunday to learn more about our company. My question for you is, do you have any idea what they refuted?
No, they didn't. Okay. They didn't provide any of that information, and I did ask.
Okay. I was wondering about that. So we've talked about this before on this show, and I'm going to talk about it again. I happened to listen to a little bit of The Observer when they were talking about this, and Brian Alvarez said if anybody has any ideas for any suggestions for what WWE could do, and no one seemed to have any suggestions, even though to me this is not rocket science. And so there's a few things I think WWE can do that I think would appease a lot of people. There's not going to be a union. There's not going to be a collective bargaining agreement. I don't see that happening anytime soon. The reason that's not going to happen is because you need the top talent to participate. And so long as the top talent is being taken care of, I think it's going to be very difficult for them to agree to be part of something that could, potentially cost them their spot.
And I put on Twitter, and I got varying degrees of reaction. I'm like, hey, if you want that to happen, then you should probably know that in your piece, and then maybe not call the single person with the most influence on that full-time roster and say that they look like a pedophile.
That was bad too. That was bad too. Yeah.
A lot of people were like, but you should be talking about. And I'm like, excuse me, I can talk about two things at once. Like you can like the subject matter and dislike a joke. People that act like you can only focus on one aspect of it, morons. That shit is so annoying. Oh, you should be talking about how the boys do this. Yeah, or I can talk about this shitty joke that one of his writers cooked up, because I know that several wrestlers that I talked to, well, actually 2 wrestlers I talked to, said, yeah, I thought that was a home run besides the Roman Reigns joke. His researchers should have known better.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I mean, come October, WWE is going to be, if they're not already swimming in money, they're going to be swimming in money come October. And I'm sure that a lot of the talent backstage is probably talking about, well, what about us? Right? When they're going to be getting $1 billion in TV contracts, what about us? So we talked about it before. Let's talk about it again. Things WWE could very easily do for talent. It's not going to cost them an arm and a leg. And I think it would go a long way in just kind of appeasing everybody. Number one, you cover road expenses, food and hotel. That's easy. Yeah. Easy, right?
It's in the next contract.
Well, I cover your phone at least. At least it's something.
Somebody said, are you going to give me a lifetime contract like John Calipari at University of Kentucky?
So let's continue. So cover road expenses, food, hotel, rental car, stuff like that. That's number one. Number two, cut down on the touring schedule. And we've talked about this before. They are essentially a television entity now. And come October, they're going to be primarily Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because they're not going to have to worry about Tuesday anymore, right? So what I would do, they've already said, we've seen the financials, and they've already said live events are not booming anymore. Merchandise is not booming anymore. They are a television entity. So it would be very easy come October to cut the schedule from 4 shows a week to 3 shows a week. Easy.
You run SmackDown, Friday live, Saturday, Sunday.
Exactly.
You run Raw, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Monday, exactly.
You never have Raw running the same night SmackDown is on the air.
Yes.
And you never have SmackDown running the same night Raw is on the air, because that attendance is garbo.
Yeah, but then not only that, so then both brands are on the road for pay-per-views. And if they ever have to, let's say they want to have a Raw talent on SmackDown, fine, you fly them in a day early. You want to have a SmackDown talent on Raw, you keep them on the road a day later on occasion. But otherwise, you do that 3-day-a-week schedule. They're not going to see a blip in terms of a difference in attendance or revenue or anything with the live events, because they're not enough of a money maker or a difference maker anymore. So you do that. You cut it down to 3 come October. Then on top of that, as we talked about before, implement time off cycles. There's no reason why they can't give guys 4 to 6 weeks off 2 times a year. And we've seen it with how many performers, Sean, over the years. They come back hotter than before they left every single time. Every single time. Roman Reigns, people were even kind of joking, gee, maybe they found a way to make him a babyface, right?
Yeah, because we probably should give him cancer. That's for sure.
But I mean, I don't even like joking about that kind of stuff, but the fact of the matter is, he came back, and for the first time in how many years, he was not booed when he came back.
More to do with the condition than the time off. But so many times, Jimmy, we see these people with time off of TV, but they're still in the live events.
Yeah.
And it's like, take them off the damn live events.
Take them off the live events. I agree.
215 people under contract.